Good evening, Trump's family. Welcome back to my channel. Have a good night, everyone, and God bless you. Alright, let's get right into the news here because there's quite to cover on this Saturday. These are the last-minute changes the Senate made to the $1.7 trillion omnibus. Senators on Thursday added a list of amendments to a sweeping 4,155-page government funding bill that now heads to the House. Below are some of the changes senators voted to adopt as part of the process. The Senate approved adding the Providing Urgent Maternal Protections for Nursing Mothers or POMP Act, which seeks to strengthen breastfeeding protections for workers in a 92-5 vote. Added into the package is a bill sponsored by Senator Bob Menendez that will allow specific groups of victims of terrorism access to a compensation fund for terrorism victims from which these groups were previously excluded. Another amendment that made the cut offered by Senator Lindsey Graham would, quote, authorize the transfer of the proceeds of certain fortified property to help Ukraine. The Senate voted 73-24 to adopt an amendment brought by Senator Bill Cassidy to attach the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act to the omnibus. It released from the office of Senator Patty Murray, who has also been pushing for the legislation. So the bill has a similar model to the Americans with Disabilities Act and would require, quote, employers to make responsible accommodations to allow pregnant workers to continue working safely, such as additional bathroom breaks, light duty, or a stool to sit on if a worker stands all day. An amendment to provide for the continuation of pay and benefits for Navy Lieutenant Rich Oconus also passed. His pay was cut while serving a 3-year sentence in a prison in Japan after a car accident that killed 2 Japanese citizens. Hunter Biden hires Bill Clinton's impeachment attorney to combat GOP House probes. Hunter Biden hired former President Bill Clinton's impeachment attorney a global this week to combat the House Oversight Committee's investigation into the Biden family business. A blow. Who engages with clients engulfed in political scandals is one of the establishment's top attorneys. He has represented many high-profile clients including Senator Robert Menendez, former Senator John Edwards, Bill Clinton, and Jared Kushner. Lowell will join Hunter's legal defense with Kevin Morris. The lead attorney Chris Clark and Joshua Levy Level will defend Hunter from the congressional probe, while Clark and Levy's work has focused on preventing Hunter from being charged by the DOJ for tax and gun violations. Quote, Hunter Biden has retained aide law to help advise him and be part of his legal team to address the challenges he's facing. Attorney Morris stated. It continues, quote, Lowell is a well-known Washington-based attorney who has represented numerous public officials and high-profile people in DOJ investigations and trials as well as congressional investigations. Mr. Lowell will handle congressional investigations and general strategic advice. The House Oversight Committee's investigation, led by Representative James Comer, will probe the Biden family business for 9 violations including wire fraud, violations of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, tax evasion, and money laundering. Quote, I want to be clear. This is an investigation of Joe Biden. Comer announced last month. He continues, quote, the Biden family's business dealings implicate a wide range of criminality. Just in Senate passes $1.7 trillion omnibus bill in 68-29 vote. Here are the 18 Republicans who voted for this monstrosity. The package includes $585 billion in defense spending, a nearly 10% increase over the previous fiscal year, and $787 billion in non-defense spending, close to an 8% increase. It would also provide roughly $85 billion in supplemental funding for Ukraine and disaster relief. The bill will now head to the House of Representatives ahead of the Friday night deadline to avert a partial government shutdown. The over 4,000-page bill was rammed through the Senate. There is no funding for border security. However, the bill contains nearly $45 billion in additional military aid for Ukraine. And then this is some big news. It's been revealed today that hundreds of former FBI agents and CIA agents work for Twitter, Google, and Facebook. The FBI tells Elon Musk to stop spreading conspiracy theory but refuses to share their own records about manipulating Twitter employees. It's also been revealed that Nancy Pelosi was aware of the Capitol attacks before they happened, but refused to let the police know about them. And Sam Bankman-Fried of FTX posts the largest bail in world history, $250 million. Thank you so much for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps me out. Also, stick with me to the very end where I tell you about how you could win $500 in cash, and the opportunity to work with me directly on your finances or getting out of debt. I'll put details at the end of this video. The Senate side of Congress has passed the $1.7 trillion spending bill. The bill was held up by Senator Mike Lee of Utah as he desperately tried to keep Title 42 in place so that the country would not be overrun with illegal immigrants at the southern border. But ultimately it was struck down and voted on and passed by the Senate. The bill will now move to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, where she says the House might not be able to vote on the bill until Saturday because of inclement weather. However, she has said that she desperately wants to pass the bill since it is her last act as Speaker of the House. Speaking of Nancy Pelosi, Republicans have released a new report today that shows that Speaker Pelosi failed to communicate with the Sergeant of Arms at the Capitol to have enough people in place. She also denied a request for the military to have a presence as she feared it would look bad to have the U.S. military protecting the Capitol on January 6. However, the same report shows that Nancy Pelosi and Capitol Police were well aware a week in advance of groups that were planning to attack the Capitol. And yet they decided not to have the military. The National Guard or enough police on duty on January 6. 6,500 flights have been cancelled or delayed because of the polar vortex hitting the U.S. northern states. The airports are asking for patience as they deal with massive scheduling nightmares and anxious Christmas travelers. The FBI is hitting back at Elon Musk and Twitter over the Twitter files that I've been sharing with you. The FBI is shrugging off all the damning details that are coming out about how they manipulated Twitter employees and planted seeds of doubt in their mind about the Hunter Biden laptop leading up to the 2020 election. They have told Elon Musk to stop spreading conspiracy theory. They're now calling this proof conspiracy theory. While at the same time the FBI says they won't release emails, meeting schedules of agents or Slack channel communications with the public. That's private information. But Elon Musk, you better stop telling people the truth, I mean conspiracy theories. Now on this same day, the Daily Mail journalist broke a story about how hundreds of former FBI and CIA agents now work for Twitter, Facebook and Google. They have their own private Slack channels that other employees are not allowed to look at. They make top decisions on what people can see or hear on social media networks. In other words, these formerly trained agents are now controlling speech on social media, and no one was aware of it until now. Doesn't this sound like something right out of George Orwell's 1984 book on controlling people by controlling their thoughts and their words? Let me know in the comments down below. Do you think the government or the FBI or the CIA are going to retaliate against Elon Musk and make his life difficult? He's basically done what Edward Snowden did, which is tell the American people their government was spying on them and manipulating them. He then had to run for his life and become a Russian citizen. What do you think is going to happen between Elon Musk, the FBI, and the CIA because they are furious that he has pulled back the curtain on their scheme? Well, today the stock market is green as most indexes are up about 0.5 percentage point. However, many individual stocks are puking all over the place in giving up gains. Many analysts say this is likely due to end-of-year stock sell-off, so that people can get what's called tax loss harvesting, where you basically sell off your loser stocks to pick up to a $3,500 tax write-off and then you just buy a different stock the same day and you pick up a tax write-off. Gold and silver are also slightly down today. New data out today shows that the Biden administration made a good move for the U.S. government and the not-so-good move for the American people. The White House revealed that while it was releasing 180 million barrels of oil, they were selling it to refineries for around $96 a barrel, which is $2,222 more per barrel than what we're paying now. These news reports show that the U.S. government made about $4 billion off the American people, while at the same time, Biden and the Biden administration were telling oil companies not to gouge the American people. They were selling oil to refineries for above asking prices. So just straight up hypocrisy if you ask me. Now oil prices have come down gratefully. However, the U.S. government will begin refilling the strategic petroleum oil reserves, which could push up the price as there's more demand on oil and could make gasoline prices go up again in early 2023. But again, gratefully, gas prices are down about $1 a gallon, which is amazing. But sadly, diesel prices remain high as the diesel shortage has not been dealt with at this point. A new study shows exercise was a great way to beat COVID and recover from COVID because it boosted immunity. Now isn't it funny that gyms were shuttered all across the country, and gym owners who dared to reopen in order to avoid losing their job or firing employees were publicly harassed and shamed at every turn. I guess we owe them an apology. But my guess is they're never going to get one. Anyway, don't forget to exercise and eat your vitamins to fight off disease and viruses. Because this new data shows it does boost immunity to work out. Ukraine's President Zelensky has made his first known trip out of Ukraine to visit the United States and plead for help. According to the White House, this meeting was very successful. Now yesterday, President Zelensky stood in front of us Congress and delivered a 23-minute speech. During the speech, Zelensky likened previous wars the United States has fought. He stated, just like brave Americans, soldiers fought on the front lines to fight back Hitler's forces during Christmas of 1944, brave Ukrainian soldiers are doing the same to Putin's forces this Christmas. Zelensky clearly tried to appeal to congressmen by using the comparison. The night was capped off with Nancy Pelosi and Vladimir Zelensky swapping their nation's flags. It was a beautiful thing to see. I have always wished good things for the people of Ukraine. I just wish our government leaders would be wiser with the use of our taxpayer money. It also seems that Zelensky had good luck with President Biden during the press conference. After meeting, Biden proclaimed the United States will stand with Ukraine for as long as it takes. Zelensky reiterated that he does not want to seek peace with Russia, unless Russia is willing to pay back the damages they've inflicted on Ukraine. But what do you think is going to happen? Do you think Vladimir Putin is going to offer up $100 billion or $1 trillion to rebuild Ukraine? Let me know your thoughts down below. As former FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried makes his way back to the United States to face trial, his former co-founders have all pled guilty to committing fraud. As of now, it appears the three were working together to keep this fraud under the radar. SBF faces life in prison, and so do the other executives. But it seems that they have thrown him under the bus to try to lessen the amount of time that they will spend in jail, or maybe to be put into a better prison system. Still, there's a lot that needs to come out about this story, as over 1 million people have lost tremendous amounts of money. And somehow Sam Bankman-Fried's parents were able to put up the money on a $250 million bond in order to get Sam released into their custody. It looks like the family put up their home equity as collateral, and a personal guarantee that he will not flee the country or, take off, basically not be a flight risk. Sam says he did not commit fraud, or at least he didn't knowingly commit fraud, and that maybe he's not as smart as the public led other people to believe that he was. Twitter CEO Elon Musk is now looking for someone to take his place as a new CEO. He is keeping his promise of stepping down and said, "I will resign as CEO as soon as I find someone foolish enough to take the job. After that, I will just run the software and server team." Now the former CEO of T-Mobile actually reached out and said that he would be willing to guide Twitter forward if Elon Musk was willing to hire him. So that may be the first person that he interviews. But as of right now, Musk is looking for someone to replace him so that he can go back to giving his attention to SpaceX, and also to Tesla. Thanks for being here, folks. Big hug. Ciao. Goodbye. God bless. We'll see you in the next one.